private investors, on average, when they buy and when they sell, they buy at the wrong time, they sell at the wrong time, and having ideas costs them money. And the more ideas they have, the more money they lose. So all of you probably felt that, and many of you felt something like 2 to 1. I would need 200 of gains to compensate me for 100 of loss. But now I can ask you a somewhat different problem. And I can ask you, suppose we're going to play that game 10 times. So 10 times, I'm going to toss a coin. Whenever you lose, you lose 100. Whenever you win 200. Do you want that game 10 times? Almost everybody says, oh yes, if we're going to play the coin 10 times, I want it. But that has a very important consequence. Something is very wrong with the thinking of anybody who has that feeling that I would not take one gamble, but I would take 10. That's wrong. It's absolutely correct that you should take 10. It's absolutely crazy not to take 10. That gamble with 10 is crazy. So you must take it. The problem is, why didn't you take the 1? When you were offered the 1 gamble, why didn't you take it? And let me ask that question in a somewhat different way. Are you going to die tomorrow? Probably not. There will be many other opportunities in life to gamble, to take risks. They won't exactly be the same, like tossing a coin 10 times. But there are many opportunities in life to take risks. Why don't you have a policy about all the risks? It would be the same as accepting a game with 10 gambles. But it turns out that this is a very important way of the way the mind works. We tend to think narrowly. We have a problem. When you were thinking of that gamble that we're going to play, I make you one offer, will you take it, will you lose it? You thought of it in isolation. The rational way to behave is very different. The rational way is to have policies, not preferences, to have general attitudes to classes of decisions. So somebody who had a policy about gambles would know if the gamble is small and it's positive, I'll take it. And people who have that attitude are much more likely to be rich at the end of their life than people who look at problems one at a time. By the way, that is one of the differences between professionals and individual investors. Individual investors think of things one at a time. Professionals have a broader view. And in the broader view, there is an expression in American English, you win a few, you lose a few. You take a broad view, so when you lose, it's not a disaster. When you win, it's not so wonderful. You win a few, you lose a few. When you have that attitude, you are much less risk averse. You feel the pain of losses much less. And you tend to do much better financially. If you want another way of being a wise investor, I would say that not checking very often how well you're doing is a very good idea. People who check every day make more mistakes than people who don't. Because people who check every day have more of a tendency to panic and to make changes. When you check after every, I think that quarterly reports is in many cases too much. And if the people who have buy and hold policies, who make a decision and then stick with it, without following too closely how well it is doing, by and large, they make better decisions, and they're better off than people who trade more often by about, it doesn't look like much, like 2.5% a year. This is the cost of looking too frequently. This is the cost of this, or in other words, this is the value of a buy and hold attitude.